No, I'm just teasing. So Doug is in Germany right now at work.
We stopped to talk to
And
Gracie.
last night. No, I think that's cool. I mean, so that is cool. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Welcome. We're going to start today's service with prayer.
Good afternoon. My name is Joel Weimer, and I consider myself very honored and privileged to serve as the chaplain of Emil Pinkel American Legion Post 140 here in Lindsborg. On behalf of our entire post membership, I want to thank all of you wonderful students and your administration for hosting this program for your area veterans today. And I want to thank you for allowing me to open this program with prayer. Please pray with me. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together today to honor you by honoring and celebrating our veterans present here and all across our nation and the world. We thank you, dear God, for these wonderful Smoky Valley students and their administration for opening their school and their hearts to our area veterans. By opening up to us, we pray that it will open their minds to the Americanism and patriotism that our Legion family stands for and wants to exhibit and promote to our community and all of its citizens. We thank you, Lord, for allowing us to live and love in the greatest nation and most terrific state in the world. We ask that you never allow us to lose sight of the fact that it is our veterans, veteran forefathers, that served and fought for our country and the wonderful ideals that it stands for. And finally, dear God, in the spirit of thanksgiving, we thank you for continuing to shed your unyielding grace on our country and its citizens. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.
Good afternoon and welcome to Smoky Valley Middle School's 22nd Annual Veterans Day Ceremony. We are here to recognize our veterans and celebrate the freedom we enjoy because of their courage and sacrifice. We hope you enjoy the program we have prepared for you today, and we would like to start by having you all stand for the presentation of the flags and our Pledge of Allegiance, and remain standing for the national anthem.
Please stand and join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now our 8th graders will tell us about the history of Veterans Day and the flag.
How Veterans Day was named. In 1921, an American soldier, his name known but to God, was buried on a Virginia hillside overlooking the Potomac River and the city of Washington. The Arlington National Cemetery burial site of this unknown World War I soldier became the personification of dignity and reverence for American veterans. Similar ceremonies occurred earlier in England and France, where an unknown soldier was buried in each nation's highest place of honor. These memorial gestures all took place on November 11th, giving universal recognition to the celebrated ending of World War I hostilities at 11 a.m. November 11th, 1918, the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month. This day became known as Armistice Day.
Armistice Day officially received its name in America in 1926, and it became a national holiday in 1938. If World War I would have been the war to end all wars, November 11th might still be called Armistice Day. Shortly after the holiday was proclaimed, World War II broke out in Europe and shattered the dream. 16.5 million Americans took part, and 406,000 died. The families and friends of these dead longed for a way to honor their memory. An answer to the dilemma of how to pay tribute to those who had served in the latest Great War came in a proposal by Representative Edwin K. Rees of Kansas. Change Armistice Day to Veterans Day and make this an occasion to honor those who have served America in all wars. President Eisenhower in 1954 signed the bill proclaiming November 11th as Veterans Day, and he called for Americans everywhere to rededicate themselves to the cause of peace.
The Old Glory Story. To veterans throughout American history, the Stars and Stripes has served as a symbol of their service and as a continuing testimony that their service was worthwhile. Since many flags of early America contained stripes in their design and several others had stars, there are varying accounts of when and where the first Stars and Stripes was flown. Flag history experts agree, however, that the first Stars and Stripes to have the general form we recognize today did not appear until the summer of 1777, when the Continental Congress formally resolved that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternate red and white, that the Union be 13 white stars in a blue field, representing the new constellation. Interestingly, the Congress did not specify the arrangement or shape of the stars, the direction of the stripes, or the relative size of the various components. It was not until 1912 that the flag was finally assured a uniform appearance when President Taft signed an executive order prescribing the relative size, shape, and positioning of the components.
A subject of almost as much debate as the shape and design of the flag has even the question of how and when to display the Stars and Stripes. Since 1942, when a law was first enacted to govern actual display of the flag, the guiding statement has been that the flag should be flown on days when weather permits. The generally accepted interpretation was that the colors could be shown only between sunrise and sundown, and even then, not during inclement weather. Growing sentiment that Old Glory should be kept flying, irrespective of darkness and foul weather, culminated in 1976 when President Ford signed legislation providing that when a patriotic effect is desired, the flag may be displayed 24 hours a day if properly illuminated during the hours of darkness. The new law also permits the Stars and Stripes to remain flying through inclement weather when a flag of all-weather material is used. In addition to its historical significance for permitting the national colors to remain aloft indefinitely for patriotic effect, the 1976 legislation may be remembered for giving life to Old Glory. The new flag code contains the provision that the flag represents a loving country and is itself considered a living thing.
We will now hear from this year's essay readers, Brenna Flax, Blake Gingler, and Conway Patrick.
Flax and Groff, Veteran History. My great-uncle Leonard Groff was in the Army during World War II. He was one of the 60,000 to 80,000 American and Filipino POWs forced to march by the Japanese on the Bataan Death March. He luckily survived, but he did not tell anybody about his experiences in World War II until he was on his deathbed. He never said how he escaped, but I am truly thankful he did. To me, a veteran is someone that shows bravery, loyalty, and selflessness. First, bravery. Bravery is fighting for your country on the front lines, knowing that you can die, and leaving your friends and family for a long period of time. When you are fighting on the front lines, it takes a lot of bravery because you don't know what's going to happen next. Just like my Uncle Leonard, Veterans in my family knew they could have died, but they also knew they had to try to stay alive to see their family again. They didn't want to make their family feel the pain of losing them. They had left their family for a long time, and their family didn't know if they were alive. The veterans in my family also didn't know what was happening at home, so they had to be brave and fight to see them again. Bravery is fighting for your country on the front lines, knowing that you could die and not surrendering, and is leaving your friends and family for a long time. Second, loyalty. Loyalty is fighting for America, leaving your family to fight, and fighting for your buddies who are with you. You have to be loyal to be willing to fight in a war for America. My great-grandpa Flax moved to America from Germany just before World War I started. He felt he needed to prove that he was loyal to America, so he enlisted to fight. He was put in the U.S. Cavalry because of his experience with horses. You have to be loyal to leave your family, knowing that you could very well die and not ever see or talk to your family again. My great-uncle Lester and Charlie Groff were both at the Battle of Iwo Jima. They both felt relieved when they saw each other. They didn't know where each other were during the battle, they were glad that their brother was still alive. They had to be loyal to each other so that they could see one another after the war was over. You have to be loyal to your buddies that are fighting with you, because if you aren't loyal to one another, the war is going to be worse if you don't have anybody to share your experiences with. Loyalty is fighting for America, leaving your family to fight, and fighting for your buddies. Finally, selflessness. Selflessness is giving your life, doing what your country needs you to do, and dropping everything for your country. More than 1.3 million Americans gave their lives to fight. My family was very blessed to not have lost anyone, but not all families are as fortunate as mine. Most of the veterans here today probably don't think that they are heroes. They think that the ones that didn't make it back home are the real heroes. For example, my great-uncle Iggy was at the Battle of the Bulge in World War II. When my dad asked him where he learned to cook, he said he was a cook in the Army at the Battle of the Bulge. He said it like it was the most normal thing. I have many more veterans in my family. All of my Grandma Flax's brothers fought in a war. 2 of my Grandma Flax's brothers and 1 of my Grandpa Flax's brothers were in the Korean War. I even have a cousin who is in the military. He fought in the war on Iraq and Afghanistan. They all went and did what their country needed them to do. They also dropped everything that they had going for them to go fight for our country. Selflessness is giving up your life, doing what your country needs you to do, and dropping everything to go fight for your country. In my family, there are lots of veterans, so this is why I have such great respect for people who are or did serve our country. A veteran is brave because they are going into combat not knowing whether or not they are going to make it out alive. A veteran is loyal because they dropped everything in their lives to go fight for our country. A veteran is selfless because they think that they are not heroes. They believe that the 1.3 million that didn't make it back home are the real heroes. In conclusion, some of a veteran's characteristics to me are bravery, loyalty, and selflessness.
Joseph Campbell. A hero is someone who has given his or her life to something bigger than oneself. This was a quote by Joseph Campbell. He was many things, and one of them was a World War I veteran. Joseph was in the Army for a little over 3 years. Then Joseph was discharged from the Army, then started to write and publish books. His most famous one being The Hero with 1,000 Faces. Joseph later passed away October 30th, 1987, unexpectedly after a brief struggle with cancer. To me, veterans like Joseph are people that show sacrifice, determination, and responsibility. Joseph Campbell and other veterans had to sacrifice a lot of things to be in the Army, and they are stronger than us for that reason. One thing they sacrifice is their time that they spend with their families. They go months on end without seeing their family, although they cherish it when they get to see their families again. Also, Joseph also sacrificed his normal day-to-day life to be in the Army. We all have time to play sports and video games, but they didn't because they are off in a different country trying their best to protect ours. Joseph went to fight in different countries in World War I, and the biggest thing that they would sacrifice is their own lives. They would run the risk of losing their lives to protect others that might not be able to protect themselves. Veterans have to stay determined to keep everything safe that they love, including their own country. Joseph needed to stay determined to keep his family safe in World War I. Veterans like Joseph Campbell joined the military to protect everybody in our country and keep them safe from invasion by other countries. Veterans served in the military because they wanted to give back to our country by protecting it. People like Joseph have to stay determined to keep everything that they love safe. Veterans like Joseph Campbell take responsibility while they are in the military, and they have to, or else they would be risking the missions they had to go on. But let me ask you this question. Have you seen someone who served in the military be irresponsible? Probably not. Joseph took responsibility while he was in the Army for the reason of the missions they had to go on. If they didn't, there was a chance that they did not complete that mission, and that would probably be really bad. If other soldiers were acting irresponsible, they would have to take responsibility and get them back on task and ensure they complete the mission. Veterans also take responsibility when it is time for the safety of others and make their own decisions to save people that might need help. Veterans will help everyone and anything that needs it and stop the risk of them hurting themselves, even if they aren't in the military anymore. Remarkable people like Joseph Campbell and other veterans alike are people who do a lot of things for our country, and the people that might not even know it. If that comes down to them helping a younger or older person by holding the door for them, even if they are able or not. These veterans will always do the right thing and make sure they helped everyone they could have. Joseph Campbell said a hero is someone who has given his or her life to something bigger than oneself, showing that veterans will give anything to protect and serve our country. Veterans like Joseph are people who show sacrifice, determination, and responsibility.
Leonard Patrick, great-grandfather, Kansan, veteran, and my hero. In 1941, my 31-year-old great-grandfather volunteered to fight, but was advised not to due to his age and a very short trigger finger. In 1945, he was deployed and on patrol one night in a jungle in the country of Burma. Leonard Patrick and 2 other men in his patrol unit noticed they were being stalked by a dangerous leopard. The leopard pounced on them, and Leonard shot and killed it in self-defense. A friend of his skinned the leopard in Burma, and Leonard sent it home to his mother, where she sewed it to a rug and preserved the hide and head until he returned home. To me, a veteran is someone who shows courage, commitment, and selflessness. First, veterans all show courage every day, as they are commonly involved in scary situations. Whether it's deep-sea diving in a submarine, surprising the enemy with an ambush in unknown territory, or even firing the kill shot on an attacking leopard like my great-grandfather did in 1945. It takes an immaculate amount of courage to be a veteran. Another example of courage is when soldiers are deployed. They are unaware of where they will be living and serving for multiple months. This could lead to a veteran being unfamiliar with the area, culture, and people. My final way a veteran shows courage is that they do whatever it takes to protect our country. If they didn't have the courage to do whatever it takes to protect our country, none of us would be where we are today. All veterans show courage in one way or another, and without it, America wouldn't be the same as it is today. Second, veterans are committed to fighting for our country. One way they show this is the fact that they cannot just return home whenever they want. They must commit to serving their country and work as hard as possible to be able to come home to their families and friends. An additional way veterans show commitment is by giving their all. My great-grandfather volunteered but was turned away multiple times due to his age and physical imperfections. He did not have to go and fight, but he did, and he gave it his all while doing it. My third way veterans show commitment is by committing their time to serve, as while they are in the military, they miss out on many important moments in their family's life. Commitment is a very important trait that all veterans show. Lastly, veterans are truly selfish. They show this by putting their life on the line in order to keep Americans and their fellow veterans safe. My great-grandfather didn't have to put his life on the line to kill the attacking leopard, but by doing this, he saved his 2 friends. A further example of veterans showing selflessness is that they are fighting for their country, not just themselves. My final way that veterans show selflessness is that they leave their family and friends to serve. This is a substantial act of selflessness, as the people you have been with your whole life will not be there to support you during your time serving. In conclusion, I believe that all veterans are courageous, selfless, and committed. My great-grandfather, Leonard Patrick, possessed all of these qualities. Veterans are all very courageous and protect their country. They're also committed and give it their all to keep everything in America safe. My favorite trait that I believe veterans hold is selflessness. Veterans do anything, including putting their own lives on the line to save others. America would not be where it is today without veterans being courageous, selfless, and committed. Thank you.
At this time, our band will be playing Marches of the Armed Forces. If you are able, please stand during your branch that you have served in as the song plays. At this time, we would like to pass the microphone around the audience and ask the veterans to stand and introduce themselves and tell us the branch of service they were in, where they served. Some of our veterans are not able to be here with us today from Bethany Home and Riverview Estates, but their names will be announced by our 8th graders to be recognized.
Darrell Johnson, served in the United States Navy Submarine Force, 1971, 1975.
Gaylord Sandeman, Air Force, served in Okinawa in 1968. I was in the Air Force from 65 to 69.
Kirk Young, U.S. Air Force, served from 71 to 75. My branch where I served at was Thule, Greenland.
Greg Marston, U.S. Navy, 72 through 76, Mediterranean.
I'm Joel Weimer. I served as an airborne reconnaissance scout in the 1st Marine Division at the very beginning of the 70s.
Name's Ben Fulton. I served in the Kansas Air National Guard from 1999 to 2021 and served in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Garrett New Schaefer, served in the U.S. Army Reserve 1961 through 67.
Kenneth Ross Moberg, U.S. Army. Earl Alstead, U.S. Army.
And Vernon Olson served in the Army in 51, 53. Was with the cavalry stationed up in Al-Qaeda in Japan most of the time. I was up in Korea.
John Magnuson. I was in the U.S. Coast Guard from 68 to 70. I served my time in Charleston, South Carolina most of the time. And my wife and I are going to go back there in about 10 days.
My name is Wayne Richard. I was in the United States Army from 1964 to 1969. During that time, I had 2 tours in Vietnam. I went over on the boat with the 1st Infantry Division in 1965. I served the 2nd Tier in 1969.
I'm Terrence Carlson, and I served in the Navy for 3 years, mostly in the Mediterranean, and then a little time out in the Pacific Ocean, too.
He's one of our only World War II veterans.
I'm Mary Carlson, the daughter of Terrence, but I was in the Air Force, active duty, 1977 to 84, and I was stationed in Rhein-Main Air Base, Griffiths Air Force Base, RAF Falconberry, and then Luke Air Force Base. And then I had a break, and then I went into the reserves, and from 1970 to 2010 when I retired, and I was over several different places as well. Thanks.
Keith Kent, U.S. Army, Korean War.
John Braden,
U.S. National Guard, and Norbert Wise, U.S. Army.
Jerry Yunts, United States Navy, Hospital Corpsman, was stationed from 1961 through 1966, and I was stationed in 29 Palms, California, Camp Pendleton, California, and Okinawa, Japan.
I'm Gail Linstead, served in the Army from 1967 to 1969.
Hi, I'm Phil Lawson, served in the United States Army from 67 to 70, Vietnam veteran, was stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and got out of service at Fort Carson, Colorado.
Hi, Michael Davis, United States Army paratrooper. I served active duty from 1987 to 1990, then went to the California Army National Guard, deployed twice, both for the riots in Los Angeles and the Northridge earthquakes.
My name is George Hansen. I just want to say happy 248th birthday to the greatest fighting force ever put together in this world, the United States Marines.
William Johnson, U.S. Navy, 1988 to 96. I served Operation Desert Storm, Norfolk, Virginia, San Diego, California, and kind of all over the world.
Jerry Webster, U.S. Navy Seabees, homeported in Gulfport, Mississippi, with 4 overseas deployments.
Kenneth Reed, U.S. Army, spent time in Bosnia, mostly here at Fort Broward, 97 to 01.
Celia Garrett, U.S. Navy. Jane Grosland, U.S. Air Force.
Larry Brock, U.S. Army, 1975 to 1996, and pretty much anywhere but the United States.
Larry Schumann, United States Navy, submarine service, 1964 to 1969.
Fred Loray, I spent in the Army 1968 to 1970, took basic in Fort Polk, Louisiana, advanced training in Fort Polk, Louisiana, stationed at Fort Carson, and 1 year in Vietnam.
Joe Bryant, U.S. Air Force and U.S. Navy. David Kane, U.S. Navy.
Barbara Buskirk, U.S. Peace Corps, and Belita Penn, U.S. Naval Reserves.
Arthur Crouch, U.S. Air Force, Minuteman Missile, 1970 to 1974.
Jesse Mendenhall served with the Army National Guard from 07 to 2013 with the 2nd 130th FA, and spent 09 to 2010 deployed to the Sinai Peninsula with the multi-force and observers.
Robert Corbin, U.S. Army. Jeff Kennedy, U.S. Army Reserves, 1957.
Steve Combine, U.S. Army, Kansas National Guard, 74 to 01.
Fleming, United States Navy, 1968 to 1972, Vietnam veteran.
Carl Kiltz, U.S. Army.
Don Anschutz, I served 6 years, U.S. Navy, Submarine Force, Charleston, South Carolina. So basically I spent my time under the ocean.
I'm Jerry French. I was in the Marine Corps from 68 to 70, and I had an office job. You don't join the Marine Corps thinking you're going to get an office job, but that's what happened. I'm a purchasing agent at Island, South Carolina.
Larry Sharbuck, U.S. Army. I started at Fort Leonard Wood, took my basic, Fort Knox, Kentucky, did my AIT, went to Vietnam for a year. I was served there in 1970 to 71. Then I finished my 2 years in Fort Carson, Colorado.
Robert Marlin, U.S. Navy. Vernon Olson, U.S. Army, 1951 to 53.
Hi, my name is Malik Jordan. I served in the Army from 1990 to 1994. I was stationed over at Fort Riley, Kansas, and we took a tour over to Desert Storm.
Lawrence Corbell, U.S. Army. Wilfred Vargas, U.S. Marine Corps.
Leland Nelson, U.S. Army, 1st Air Cavalry Division in Vietnam.
Donald Maxwell, U.S. Navy. Robert McCoy, U.S. Navy.
Raymond Adams, U.S. Army, 82nd Airborne Paratrooper, Desert Storm.
Theodore Lindgren, U.S. Army, and Daniel Jaso, U.S. Army National Guard.
We are fortunate today to have U.S. Army Corporal Chief Davis as our guest speaker. Chief Davis served active duty in the Army from 1987 to 1990. From then he served for the California National Guard from 1990 through 1995. Please join me in welcoming our Lynchburg Chief of Police, Chief Michael Davis.
First, I want to thank the Smoky Valley Middle School and staff for having this Veterans Day event so we can celebrate all of our veterans in our community. I want to take an opportunity to thank all the veterans who have served for everything that they've given. Our country wouldn't be what it is today if they weren't volunteering their time and their life to protecting our country. A lot of countries don't have an all-volunteer force, and we're lucky to have it. We have a strong sense of duty to our country and pride. And I thank all of you for what you've done and for the inspiration that you've given me and all of us in our country here. Today I'm going to try and keep this brief. I know when I sit in the crowd I don't always like a long speech either, but I'm going to try and direct it to the students. Every veteran, every adult has their own story. Today I get to tell you my story. It's not much different probably than many other veterans, but I don't talk about it a lot. But hopefully I'll get to a couple of you and it will make sense. You know, when I was in school, I was a decent student in elementary school, but when I got to junior high, as for most of us, it's an awkward time for us. I don't know what happened, but I went from liking school to really not liking school. I wasn't a bad kid, but I was lazy, and I didn't put effort into school like I should. When I went into high school, nothing changed. I knew I wanted to serve because I come from a family of veterans. My dad, my grandfathers all served in the Navy, so I know I wanted to do it, but without getting an education, I knew I wouldn't be able to. And my sophomore year almost prevented me from serving because I did not do very well in school. Again, not a bad kid, just being lazy. But something clicked that year, and I decided to make a turn. I decided to put some effort into my schoolwork and turned everything around, and luckily graduated right on time. Barely. I was able to join the military when I was 17 with my parents' permission. And of all the things I joined up to be, I was going to join the Army to be a fireman. Don't know what I was thinking, but that's what I wanted to do. But something changed in the middle of my senior year, and I wasn't able to take that class. So I either had to change job assignments or graduate early, and I didn't want to do that to my parents. So they gave me a chance to make a decision to pick another job, and of course they let me look through all the cool videos, and you know, I thought, hey, infantry kind of looks like camping. I think I'm going to join the infantry, and my dad thought I was nuts. And I told him, Dad, don't worry about it, it's pretty easy. It's, you know, dig a few holes, camp in tents, you know, it's kind of fun. I said, they even threw something else out for me. And he said, what's that? I go, I'm going to jump out of planes. And he's like, hey, you moron, you've never even been in a plane. Ended up being the best job in the world. I loved it. I served 3 years. I was able to serve my country in Panama during the invasion of Panama and the eventual liberation of that country. I got out in 1990, but the military inspired a commitment to service for me, a strong commitment for service to this country and to the people living in this country. And so I made a decision that what I wanted to do was serve my country in law enforcement. So I immediately signed up and started my career in law enforcement in 1991 while still serving in the reserves. For some of you who've been around a while, you remember the riots in 1992 and also some tragic earthquakes in California during the Northridge earthquake, killed 13 people. I was deployed, I was taken out of the police department and deployed with the National Guard during both those incidents. Again, never losing my commitment to service. I believe strongly in serving the people of this great country. We all have our different views, we all have our different opinions, but the great thing about this country is we all have the right to express them. And we all have the right to respect those who are expressing them. So I did the next 28 years of service in law enforcement in California, rising through the ranks in the different positions to the point where I became a captain. I retired in 2019 and moved out to the great state of Kansas to be with my family. I was given the opportunity to apply for and get chosen as your chief of police 4 years ago. And I get to continuously live an honor of service to this state and to this community. In my heart, there is no greater commitment than to serve our fellow people here. Whether it be in the military, whether it be in law enforcement, or in the medical field, the fire department, no matter what we're doing, we're all serving each other. Whether it be teachers, whether it be any job out here, we are always serving people. And I encourage all of you students up there, look at the ways you can serve. It doesn't have to be in the military, but you can always serve each other, even if you see someone having a bad day, even if you see someone being bullied. You can serve them by being there for them. this country offers us great opportunities, and I suggest we all be appreciative of that and thank our abilities to be able to do what it is we like to do in this country. We have the freedoms to do what we want, to go to school where we want, to live in the community we want, and as our community here in Lynchburg has shown, to volunteer and serve in our community in a variety of capacities. I feel it's a great honor for me to sit here and serve all of you as your chief of police. I don't always get to meet and see everybody, but every day I get to meet someone new. Every day I get to put this uniform on and remember why I got into this field. And I thank you for the honor of serving you in this capacity. And with that, have a great Veterans Day.
Thank you, Chief Davis, for speaking today. Thank you for your service to our country and this community. Next, the 7th and 8th grade choir will be singing Thank You, Soldiers. And then we'll be singing America the Beautiful. Please join us in the final verse that is on the back of your program. First up, Thank You, Soldiers.
Your 3 verses of America the Beautiful are on the back of your program. Please join us in singing all the verses.
As we wrap up the afternoon, there are a few people I need to thank at this time. Chief Davis, our speaker, the American Legion Riders, and the SVMS Booster Club. Thank you to our local American Legions, Post and Color Guard. I'd also like to thank our custodians, 8th grade teachers, and all the staff members who helped plan and organize today's program. I would also like to thank the students and all those who participated and contributed to this event. And most of all, thank you to all of you, our veterans, for your service, your bravery to our country today and forevermore. Before we retire the colors and conclude the program, we would like to offer our thanks to all our veterans by offering some cookies and warm coffee across the commons through these doors and through the middle school gym doors just out front of our middle school. If you would, and then also finally, if you would look on the back of your button, there is a star on one of those. The person with the star on their button is this year's recipient of the flower arrangement that was sitting at the front table as you came in. If you will come forward after the program, we will make sure that you can gather that centerpiece to take home today. Thank you for coming. We hope that you enjoyed your time with us today. Will you all please stand as taps is played and remain standing as the American Legion retires the colors. Thank you. That concludes our program for today.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, yeah, text me when you get there.
I've been filming TikTok. Christmas break, I'll probably have a whole list of people wanting me in one.